The stars outside the relay window looked cold and far away. Elias Ward sat alone inside the deep space station called Outpost Theta 9. It was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that made a person hear their own heartbeat. He had been posted there for almost 8 months, monitoring signals from the outer colonies. Most nights were empty, just the soft hum of machines and the slow ticking of the clock. But tonight something changed. A sharp tone cut through the air, a sound he had never heard before. The console lights flickered. Lines of alien code ran across the screen. Elias leaned forward, frowning, his hand hovering over the control panel. "Computer," he said softly. "Identify the source," the AI voice replied in its calm tone. "Unknown frequency, not human origin. Uncharted." Elias's stomach turned cold. The transmission started again, this time clearer. A voice, soft, female, full of sorrow. It echoed through the small room like a ghost. "Huh. Man, please, rekindle my daughter's flame." The words repeated 3 times. Then the signal vanished. Elias stared at the speakers, unsure if he had imagined it. He ran the recording back, listening again. The voice was not static, not mechanical. It sounded alive, desperate, real. Elias had heard strange things in deep space, but nothing like this. He checked the data, trying to locate the source. The coordinates pointed to a region beyond the mapped systems, a dark sector known among pilots as the Hollow Reach, a place where ships vanished and signals died. Even the AI hesitated when he entered the destination. "Warning," it said. "No confirmed safe routes to the Hollow Reach." Elias leaned back, thinking his orders were clear. He was not to leave his post. But something in that voice, something in the way it said the word daughter, pulled at him. He replayed the message again and again. Each time it felt more personal, like the voice was speaking directly to him. He remembered his sister, who had died years ago. He remembered her weak voice calling his name on the hospital bed. That same kind of sadness lived in the alien voice. Elias clenched his fists, stood up, and made his decision. He began preparing his small exploration ship. The Helios runner. It was old, slow, but reliable. He checked the fuel, recalibrated the shields, and loaded emergency supplies. The AI tried to warn him again. "Captain Ward, leaving your post violates command protocol." Elias smiled faintly. "Yeah, I know," he said, "but maybe someone out there needs me." The AI went silent, almost like it understood. As the ship detached from the station, the relay lights dimmed behind him. The stars outside stretched into long lines of silver as the ship entered warp. He watched them fade one by one, replaced by the endless darkness ahead. The Hollow Reach was waiting. Hours passed, maybe days. Time lost meaning inside the deep void. His instruments began to fail. Compass spinning, sensors reading nothing. The space here was wrong, silent, heavy. Even light seemed slower, bending strangely around his ship. He felt like he was being watched. Sometimes he thought he saw faint shapes in the darkness, shadows that moved like smoke. But every time he blinked, they were gone. Then, the voice returned, softer now, almost whispering inside his head. "Human. You came." Elias froze, his hands trembling over the controls. He turned on the external scanners, but nothing appeared. "Who are you?" he whispered. "Where are you?" The reply came like a sigh through the air. "My daughter sleeps in the dark. Her flame fades. Help her." Elias tried to trace the frequency, but it wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from inside the ship. Through the main communication array, the ship began to shake slightly, small sparks flying from the console. Suddenly, the viewport filled with light, faint at first, then stronger, through the mist of cosmic dust. Elias saw a shape forming ahead. It wasn't a planet, it wasn't a station. It was something in between, a giant structure floating in the nebula, glowing with dying light. It looked ancient, part metal, part stone, part alive. He slowed the ship, staring in awe. "Computer, what is that?" The AI answered quietly. Unknown construct emitting low-frequency energy, life signs. Undetermined as he approached, strange symbols glowed across the surface like runes written in fire. The closer he got, the clearer the voice became. "Human, rekindle her flame." It echoed again, louder, deeper, like it was coming from the heart of the structure itself. Elias's heart pounded. He didn't understand what it meant, but he felt it, The pull, the need to help. He whispered to himself, "All right, whoever you are, I'm here." And with that he guided his ship into the glowing gates of the alien tomb. The darkness swallowed him whole, and the voice for the first time whispered his name, Elias. The moment Elias crossed the glowing gates, the light around him changed. It was not bright anymore, but soft and pulsing like a heartbeat. His ship drifted slowly into a vast chamber floating inside the nebula. Strange towers of crystal rose like frozen fire. Glowing in shades of blue and gold, the walls seemed alive, breathing with faint movement everywhere he looked. Alien symbols shifted and shimmered as if they were reading him. It felt like he had stepped into the heart of something ancient and sacred. Elias whispered, "Where am I?" The AI's voice came through weakly. "Unknown structure, power readings unstable. Oxygen levels dropping." He adjusted his suit, sealed his helmet, and prepared to go outside. The docking hatch opened with a hiss and he stepped out, his boots touching the alien floor. It felt warm like skin. He could feel a faint vibration beneath him, like a distant heartbeat running through the entire place. The silence was so deep it almost hurt. He turned on his wrist light and looked around. Huge carvings covered the walls. Tall figures made of light and flame, standing with raised hands. In the center was a mural showing a bright sun crumbling into darkness. Below it, a smaller figure holding what looked like a tiny flame. Glowing against the void, Elias moved closer, running his hand over the carvings. He didn't understand the meaning, but he felt the sadness behind it, like this place had been built as a memory, or maybe a tomb. Then he heard it again, the same voice, softer this time. "Human, you came." Elias turned sharply, scanning the shadows. Light gathered in front of him, forming the faint image of a woman, tall and regal. Her body was made of light, her face beautiful but tired. She looked like she was both there and not there, flickering like a candle about to die. "Who are you?" Elias asked quietly. The figure tilted her head, her voice filled the air like a melody. "I am Queen Sereth of the Solari, and you have answered my final plea." Elias's heart raced. "You're the one who sent the signal." The queen nodded slowly. "Yes, my strength fades. My people are gone, only my daughter remains." She turned and the floor beneath them lit up, showing a transparent chamber made of crystal. Inside it lay a smaller figure, a girl, her body glowing faintly, her light dim and trembling. "This is my child Lyra," the queen said, her tone breaking with pain. "Her flame is dying, and with it the last of my kind." Elias stepped closer, staring through the crystal. The alien girl looked peaceful, almost human in shape. Her skin shimmered like glass, and her hair floated as if underwater. Inside her chest, a small golden light flickered weakly. Elias whispered, "What happened to her?" The queen's light dimmed. "Our son turned against us. Our world burned with its final breath. My daughter's core was damaged in the storm." She looked at him, her glowing eyes full of something strange. "Hope. Your kind still carries what we lost, the human spark. The power to reignite her flame." Elias frowned. "I don't understand, I'm just an engineer." The queen smiled sadly. "You are more than that, human. You still believe, you still feel. That is your strength." Her form began to flicker harder, static washing through her voice. "My time ends soon. The energy of this tomb is collapsing. You must take her, protect her, help her rise again." Elias stepped back, shocked. "Take her? How? She's not human. She is life," the queen said softly, "and she is all that remains of mine." The ground trembled, cracks of light spreading across the floor. Elias looked up as the crystals above began to fall like rain. The AI's voice broke through the static in his helmet. "Warning, structure collapse imminent." He turned back toward the queen, but her image was fading fast. Her final words echoed like a prayer. "Rekindle her flame, Elias Ward, and the stars will remember your name." The projection burst into a shower of light and vanished. Elias ran to the crystal chamber, searching for a way to open it. He pressed his hand against the surface. It was burning hot, yet he didn't pull back. The moment his skin touched it, the light inside reacted. The chamber opened with a hiss, and the alien girl's body floated gently into his arms, weightless and warm. Her faint glow pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. Elias could feel her life, weak but still there. He carried her carefully back to his ship, his breath shaking. The moment he crossed the hatch, The tomb behind him began to collapse. The structure folded in on itself, glowing brighter and brighter until it exploded in silence. Only a fading trail of light remained in the nebula. Elias laid the alien girl on the medical bed. Her eyes fluttered slightly, her lips moving as if whispering a word. He leaned close, and through the faint glow, he heard it. Mother. The ship shook as debris hit the hull. Alarms flashing red, Elias grabbed the controls, lifting the ship away from the collapsing structure. Behind him, the Queen's voice echoed faintly one last time. Thank you, human. And then, only silence filled the void again. Elias looked at the girl lying before him, her light fading but not gone. He whispered to himself, I don't know how to help you, but I'll try. The stars outside flickered weakly, as if watching him, and for the first time, Elias felt like he was not alone in the universe. Inside the small ship, only the sound of the engine and Elias's heartbeat filled the air. The alien girl, Lyra, lay on the medical bed, her body glowing faintly like dying embers. Every few seconds her light flickered, weaker each time. Elias sat beside her, watching, thinking, and worrying. He had seen many strange things in space, but nothing like this. She looked so fragile, so human and yet not human at all. Her skin shimmered with soft colors like the surface of water. Her hair floated weightlessly, glowing faintly with the same golden hue that came from her chest. He checked the ship's scanner, trying to read her vitals. The screen showed symbols he didn't recognize, only energy patterns that pulsed weakly. She's fading, he whispered. But how do I help something that's not human? The AI responded softly. Unknown biological structure, but energy readings suggest a living core inside the chest. Elias stared at the data. Then at her face, she looked peaceful, almost asleep. But every flicker of her light sent fear through him. He remembered the Queen's final words, rekindle her flame. But what did that even mean? He sighed and leaned back in his chair. The ship drifted through the empty void, heading away from the collapsing tomb. The nebula outside glowed faintly, painting the cockpit in ghostly light. Elias thought about turning back to human space, but something inside told him not to. He couldn't abandon her, not after what he had seen, not after that voice called his name. As hours passed, he began hearing faint whispers through the communication system. They were not words, not really, more like feelings. Emotions carried through sound. He followed the signal and realized it was coming from her. Every time her light flickered, the whispers grew stronger. He closed his eyes, trying to listen. Through the soft hum of the engines, he felt something warm, gentle, almost like a heartbeat connecting with his own. Then suddenly she gasped. Her body arched slightly. Her eyes opened for a brief second. They were bright gold. Glowing like the heart of a star, she looked at him. Confused and frightened, Elias froze, not knowing what to say. It's okay, he said quietly. You're safe now. She tried to speak, but her voice came out broken and weak. Wait, where, Mother? Elias's chest tightened. She's gone, he said softly, but she wanted me to protect you. Tears welled in her strange, glowing eyes. And for a moment, Elias forgot she was alien. In that moment, she was just someone lost, scared, and alone. The ship jolted suddenly, alarms flashing red. The AI spoke quickly. Warning, incoming signal detected. Human frequency. Elias frowned, checking the radar. 3 ships were approaching fast. Human scout vessels. He cursed under his breath. They must have followed my warp trail. He switched to manual control and turned the ship away. But it was too late. The comms crackled to life. Unidentified vessel, this is Command Recovery Unit 7. Power down immediately. Elias stayed silent. The voice repeated, colder this time. You are carrying an unauthorized entity. Surrender it or face destruction. He looked at Lyra. She was awake now, breathing faster, her light brightening with fear. Elias whispered, They're not here to help us. She looked at him, eyes glowing, and said a single word, Run. Elias slammed the controls forward, the engines roaring as the ship darted through the debris field. Laser fire lit up the void, red beams slicing through the darkness. The Helios runner shook violently. Panels sparking, Lyra raised her hands weakly, and to Elias's shock, a wave of golden energy spread around the ship. The laser beams bent away, curving harmlessly into space. Elias stared at her in disbelief. You saved us, he said. Lyra closed her eyes, her strength fading again. Too much. Can't hold. Long. Elias pushed the ship harder. weaving through the rocks until the enemy ships disappeared behind them. He finally slowed down, his hands shaking, sweat running down his neck. Lyra lay motionless again, her glow now dim and cold. He sat beside her and gently placed his hand over her chest. He could feel the faint warmth still there. Like a candle fighting the wind, he whispered, "Come on, stay with me. Don't fade now." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the faintest light flickered under his hand. Matching the rhythm of his heartbeat, it grew brighter with each passing second. Elias didn't understand how, but somehow, his touch was stabilizing her. The human warmth inside him was keeping her alive. He stayed like that for hours, holding her hand, his head resting against the side of the bed. When he finally opened his eyes again, her glow had returned, soft, steady, alive. Lyra looked at him with tired eyes and whispered, "You, human, strange, but warm." Elias smiled weakly. "Yeah, I get that a lot." She tried to smile back, her voice barely audible. "Mother said you would come." Then her eyes closed again and she fell into a deep sleep. Elias leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling. He didn't know where they were going next or how long she would survive. But one thing was certain. She was no longer just a mission, she was a promise outside. The stars shimmered faintly, and deep inside the ship, two faint heartbeats echoed together. One human, one alien, two sparks of life in the endless void, holding on to each other in the dark. The silence inside the ship felt heavier than space itself. Elias sat in the pilot chair, staring at the fading light of distant stars. Behind him, Lyra rested on the bed, her breathing soft and slow, her glow dim but steady for a few hours. Peace filled the ship, fragile, quiet, almost unreal. But Elias knew peace never lasted long in deep space. And he was right. The radar beeped suddenly, red lights flashing on the console. The AI's voice broke the silence, warning multiple human ships approaching. Distance closing fast. Elias's heart sank. He knew who they were. Command Recovery Unit 7, the same group that had fired on him before. He cursed softly, his fingers flying over the controls. "Can we jump to warp?" he asked. The AI replied, "Warp drive partially damaged. Recalibration required." He hit the panel in frustration. "Then we'll have to talk." He opened the comms channel, static filling the speakers before a cold voice answered. "Elias Ward, this is Captain Hensley of the Recovery Fleet. You are charged with theft of classified alien technology and violation of isolation protocol." Elias gritted his teeth. "That technology is not a weapon, it's a living being." The captain's tone didn't change. "Surrender the entity for containment or we will open fire." Elias looked back at Lyra. She was still sleeping. Unaware of the danger, he said quietly, "If you touch her, you'll regret it." The line went dead, and moments later, bright flashes of light filled the void. Explosions rocked the ship, alarms blaring. Elias pulled the controls hard, the Helios runner spinning through the stars. Laser fire chased them like red lightning. He shouted, "AI! Divert all power to shields," the AI responded calmly. "Shields at 20%. Hull damage detected!" Sparks flew across the cockpit, the lights flickering. Then from behind him a soft voice spoke, weak but determined. "Let me help." Elias turned, shocked to see Lyra sitting up, her golden eyes glowing brighter. Her hair floated like liquid sunlight around her face. "Lyra, no, you need to rest," he said. She shook her head slowly. "They hurt you." "They hurt me. No more." Before he could stop her, she stood, her hands glowing with golden fire. She touched the wall of the ship, and instantly, the metal around them shimmered. Energy flowed through the panels like living light. Outside, a golden barrier spread around the Helios runner, bending the next wave of lasers away. The human ships pulled back in confusion, scanning the strange shield. Elias watched the readings spike on his screen. "Your energy is overloading the system." Lyra closed her eyes, her voice calm but distant. "I can control it. Trust me." Elias hesitated, but something in her eyes made him believe her. The human fleet began to circle, forming an attack formation. Then the captain's voice echoed again through the comms. "Ward, you don't understand what you're dealing with." "That creature is dangerous," Elias snapped back. "She's not a creature. She's someone who needs help." The captain's tone hardened. "Then you've been compromised." Before Elias could reply, the enemy ships opened fire again. This time the blast hit harder. Shaking the entire vessel, Lyra cried out, falling to her knees as her glow flickered violently. Elias ran to her side, holding her shoulders. Her skin was burning hot, her voice trembling. It's too much. They drain my light. Elias looked at the monitors, and their energy was dropping fast. He made a decision, one that broke every order he'd ever followed. AI, he said. Transfer all remaining power from weapons to Lyra's chamber. Warning, the AI said. This will leave the ship defenseless. I know, Elias whispered. Just do it. The lights dimmed as the ship's energy poured into her body. For a moment, everything went dark. Then Lyra's eyes opened, glowing brighter than before. Golden light filled the cabin, warm and powerful. Outside, the human fleet slowed, their scanners going wild. What is that? A voice shouted through their comms. Elias watched as Lyra rose into the air, her body surrounded by a soft halo of light. She looked at him and whispered, I remember now. What my mother told me. The light is not meant to destroy. It's meant to heal. She stretched her hands toward the viewport, and a wave of light spread outward. It moved like a living ocean, washing over the attacking ships. Instead of exploding, their engines shut down quietly. Their weapons going dark, the light wrapped around them gently, disabling everything without harm inside the command ship. Captain Hensley stared in disbelief. What is this? He whispered. Lyra's voice echoed faintly through every ship, calm and sorrowful. Why do humans fear what they could love? The silence that followed was heavy, almost holy. One by one, the human ships stopped firing, floating quietly in the light. Elias looked at Lyra, his voice full of awe. You did it. You stopped them. Her glow dimmed again, her body weak from the effort. She collapsed into his arms, whispering, Too much. Energy gone. He held her close, whispering, It's okay. You're safe now. The AI spoke quietly. Enemy fleet retreating. Communication channels silent. Elias leaned against the wall, still holding her. He could feel her warmth fading slowly, but still alive. As he looked out the viewport, the golden light from her power still lingered, floating like dust among the stars. He whispered to himself, they called it dangerous, but maybe she's the only thing keeping us alive. Far away, one last transmission came through the static. A faint, fading voice. It was the Queen, her tone soft and weak. You have done well, human. But the darkness is not gone yet. Elias looked at the stars ahead. His eyes hard with determination, he knew now. This was only the beginning. The ship floated silently through the black sea of space, drifting between shattered stars and cold light. Elias sat beside Lyra, watching the soft golden glow returning to her skin. She was breathing again, slow but steady, her light no longer flickering wildly. He hadn't slept in almost 2 days, afraid that if he closed his eyes, she might fade away again. The AI's voice finally broke the silence. Captain, long-range scans detect no pursuit. All hostile signals have vanished. Elias sighed in relief, leaning back against the wall. Good. We need time to think. He looked at the sleeping girl beside him, her face peaceful now. There was something almost human about her expression, the way her eyes moved under her lids, the way her lips curved as if dreaming. He whispered softly, Who are you really, Lyra? As if answering, the air around her began to shimmer. The lights dimmed and a faint figure appeared in front of him, tall, graceful, glowing with pale silver light. Elias stood up slowly, his heart racing. Queen Sarath, he said, recognizing the same voice that had called him before. The Queen's image flickered weakly, her tone soft and tired. Yes, human. I am what remains of her consciousness, Elias stared in awe. You're alive? The Queen shook her head slowly, not alive. Only a memory bound to my daughter's core, I speak through her dream. He frowned, trying to understand. Why did you choose me? Why not call for your own kind? The Queen's light pulsed faintly, and her voice carried sorrow. My kind is gone, Elias Ward. Our stars died. Our worlds turned to dust. The Solari once thrived across 1,000 suns, each heart connected by light. But when the great silence came, our flame began to fade. She looked down at her faintly glowing hands, her face filled with grief. We tried to reignite our worlds, but our light needed something more, something we lost long ago. Elias took a step closer. What did you lose? The Queen raised her eyes, meeting his. Emotion, compassion, the warmth of the human soul. Her words cut through him like a blade of truth. She continued, "Your kind still carries the ancient spark, the ability to feel beyond logic, to hope when all is lost, to love even what you do not understand." Elias stayed quiet. Her words echoing in his mind, he thought about Lyra, about how her light had saved him, about the way she had looked at him like she already knew him. The Queen's image flickered again, growing weaker. "My daughter's core was made to hold the flame of our people, but it cannot burn without that human spark." Elias frowned. "You mean, she needs me?" The Queen nodded slowly. "Not your body, but your heart, your memories, your emotion. That is the key to awakening her." He looked at Lyra, still resting peacefully, her light pulsing softly in rhythm with his ship's hum. He said quietly, "If I do that, what happens to me?" The Queen's voice lowered, sad and knowing. "You may not survive, Elias Ward. Your energy will fade into hers, but through that act, you will rekindle the Solari flame." Elias took a deep breath, staring out the window at the sea of stars. "I left Earth because I thought I had nothing left there," he said softly. "But maybe this is why I was sent out here." The Queen smiled faintly. "Perhaps fate guided you, human, as it once guided the stars." Her image flickered again, fading with each passing word. "Be warned, others will come, drawn by her light. They will not understand what she is. They will see only power. Protect her, Elias Ward, for her awakening will change everything." Her voice grew faint, echoing through the ship. "And remember this, to save her is to save yourself." Then the image vanished completely, leaving only the soft hum of the ship behind. Elias sat back down beside Lyra, his thoughts racing. He reached out and gently placed his hand near her glowing chest. Feeling the warmth beneath, he could sense something faint, a connection forming. Like a thread of light between them, he whispered, "You're not just energy, are you? You feel, you dream, just like us." For a moment he thought he heard her voice again, quiet and distant inside his head. "Yes, I dream. I remember." "You," Elias froze, his eyes widening. "Lyra?" Her eyes opened slightly, faint golden light shining from them. Her voice was soft but clear. "I saw you. In the dark. You held the flame when I could not." He smiled weakly. "You're safe now." She shook her head gently. "No one is safe yet. The darkness grows, and it knows your name." Elias's chest tightened. "What darkness?" But before she could answer, she fell back into sleep, the light in her chest pulsing faster now. The AI's voice interrupted. "Captain, unknown energy surge detected. Source, Lyra's body." Elias looked at the monitors, his eyes widening. A strange signal was spreading through space. The same signal he had first received weeks ago. Only now it was stronger, clearer. Reaching far beyond their system, he whispered, "She's calling someone," the AI responded calmly. "Correction, Captain." "She is calling everyone." Elias turned toward the stars. His mind racing, he remembered the Queen's warning. Others will come. And for the first time, he understood the truth. This wasn't just about saving one girl, it was about the return of an entire race. A race born from light, now calling for rebirth through the heart of one human. He looked at Lyra and whispered, "I'll protect you, no matter what comes outside the viewport." Distant stars flickered like candles awakening in the dark, and in that endless sea of black a new light began to rise. The stars outside the ship burned brighter than ever, like silent witnesses to what was coming. Elias stood in the control room, his hands gripping the edge of the console, staring at the glowing figure on the medbed. Lyra's light was no longer soft or calm. It blazed like a rising sun, spreading waves of golden energy through the ship. The AI's voice crackled through the air. "Captain, energy levels are increasing beyond safe limits. Containment fields are failing." Elias clenched his jaw. "We can't shut it down. This is her trying to wake up." The hum of the engines deepened, vibrating through the ship's core. Outside, the darkness of space rippled like a living ocean. Reacting to the pulse of her power, Elias could feel it too, deep inside his chest. Like his heartbeat was syncing with hers. Every pulse felt stronger, warmer, more human. He looked at her face, glowing softly even through the chaos. "She's fighting," he whispered, "but against what?" Then the lights flickered, and for a moment everything froze. A shadow appeared at the edge of his vision, forming within the energy field and tall, thin and shifting like smoke. Elias turned, his breath catching. "Who's there?" The voice that answered wasn't the Queen's, nor Lyra's. It was something else, cold, mechanical, ancient. "We are the void, keeper of the silence. Destroyer of the light." Elias stumbled back, his heart racing. "You're what killed them." The figure shimmered, taking on a humanoid form with eyes like black holes. "Balance must be restored. Light cannot exist without shadow. The Solari defied the order. They must remain extinguished." Elias shook his head, anger replacing fear. "You can't decide that. They had a right to live." The shadow tilted its head. "And so did the countless who burned under their suns." Its voice echoed like thunder. "You carry their spark now, human. Do not make the same mistake." Elias raised his voice. "I don't care about your balance. I only care about her." The being paused, its gaze turning toward the medbed. "She is the last fragment of defiance. Destroy her and you will live. Protect her and you will burn." Elias stood firm. "Then let me burn." The shadow hissed and vanished into smoke. The ship shook violently, alarms blaring. Red lights flashing across the cabin. Lyra's body arched, her eyes glowing bright gold as energy surged from her chest. Elias ran to her side, shouting over the noise, "Lyra, you have to control it!" Her voice was weak but clear. "It's too much. The void is trying to pull me back." He gripped her hand, feeling a rush of warmth surge into him. "Then take my strength," he said. "Take whatever you need." Her golden eyes opened wider, tears of light falling down her cheeks. "You'll die," she whispered. He smiled softly. "Maybe, but you'll live." "And that's enough." She shook her head desperately. "You don't understand. When two lights join, they become one. You won't disappear. You'll become part of me." Elias froze, the meaning sinking in. He looked into her eyes, and for the first time he saw more than alien beauty. He saw something deeply human, something ancient and lonely. He nodded slowly. "Then let's do it together." He placed his hand over her heart, and a wave of golden light exploded through the room. The ship's systems overloaded, sparks flying from the walls. The AI's voice stuttered. "Warning, human neural activity merging with Solari core. Unknown process initiated." Elias felt his body burning. But it wasn't pain, it was warmth, it was life. He saw flashes of memories not his own, cities made of light, beings who sang to the stars, a world where fire and love were the same. He felt the Queen's voice again, distant but proud. "You have done what we could not, Elias Ward. You have rekindled the flame." The light grew so bright that the stars outside vanished, replaced by a golden sea stretching forever. Elias's body dissolved into that light, his consciousness drifting into something vast and endless. He could still feel himself, but also Lyra, her presence surrounding him like a heartbeat. Her voice echoed softly inside his mind. "You're here." He smiled, or thought he did, always. Together, they reached out through the void, their combined light pushing back the darkness. The void screamed, a sound like shattering glass across space. Its form began to crumble, burned away by their shared energy. Lyra's voice grew stronger, her tone no longer fragile. "You have no power here. This light belongs to all who dream." The last of the darkness faded, replaced by silence, and not the cold, empty silence of before, but peaceful, alive. Elias floated within the golden glow, feeling her heartbeat like his own. The ship's system slowly rebooted, lights flickering back to life. Outside, the nearest star, and long dead for centuries, flickered back to life, glowing brighter than before. The Queen's voice whispered one last time. The Solari flame burns once more. As the light dimmed, Lyra stood alone in the control room, her eyes still glowing faintly. But she wasn't alone anymore. Elias's voice lived within her, calm and warm. "Guess we did it," he said gently. She smiled. "Yes, we did." And far beyond the ship, across the silent galaxy, new lights began to awaken one by one. The dawn of a new age had begun, born from one human's heart and one alien's soul, a spark of unity, bright enough to ignite the stars again. The golden light faded into a calm glow, and silence filled the ship once again. For a long time, nothing moved. Only the faint hum of systems restarting echoed through the corridors. Then slowly Lyra opened her eyes, the light within them now steady and strong. She sat up on the medbed, feeling both heavy and weightless at the same time. Her hands glowed faintly, and when she looked into the reflection on the screen, she gasped. Her face still looked like her own, but something deeper had changed. Her eyes shimmered with both golden and human hues. Elias's voice echoed softly in her mind. Calm and steady. You're awake. She smiled gently. You're still here. Yeah, he said with a quiet laugh. Looks like we're stuck together. His voice carried warmth, like sunlight on cold metal, and she felt peace for the first time in ages. The AI interrupted. Captain Elias Ward. Partial consciousness detected within Solari core system. Lyra tilted her head. I suppose that makes me captain now. Elias chuckled. Looks like it. She stepped toward the viewing window, staring out into the endless dark. Except it wasn't dark anymore across the galaxy. Faint light shimmered. Stars that had been dead now flickered with life. It was subtle, like embers in a cold fire pit, but growing stronger every second. Lyra whispered, It's working. The flame is spreading. Elias's voice grew softer. We did it, Lyra, you're carrying it now. But her expression changed, her voice trembling. No, not just me, we both are. She raised her hand, and threads of golden light extended outward, connecting to the stars. Every thread pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, and his. Elias could feel it too, the connection between them and something far greater. But then the AI's tone changed. Warning. Multiple incoming ships detected human origin. Lyra's heart sank slightly. Humans? How did they find us? Elias answered, The signal, remember? The one we sent out when your flame awakened. She nodded slowly. They followed it, outside through the viewport. The shapes of massive ships appeared, dark gray and angular, their engines burning bright blue. The human fleet had arrived, weapons online, shields raised. A voice transmission came through, sharp, commanding, and human. This is Admiral Terran of the United Earth Command. Identify yourself. Lyra hesitated, unsure of what to say. Elias's voice spoke calmly in her mind. Tell them the truth, Lyra. She pressed the comm switch, her tone soft but firm. This is Lyra of the Solari, and of Earth. The silence that followed was heavy. Then the Admiral replied, Impossible, the Solari are a myth. Identify your vessel and crew. She looked at her reflection, golden light shining from her chest, and whispered, I am both. The humans didn't understand, and their scanners couldn't explain what they saw. Energy readings are off the charts, someone on their side muttered. She's using Solari tech, another voice warned. Admiral Terran spoke again. We can't allow alien weaponry this close to human space. Prepare to neutralize target. Lyra closed her eyes, sadness washing over her. Elias, she whispered, they don't see it. They think I'm a threat. His voice was steady. Then show them what you are. She took a deep breath, raised her hand and released a wave of soft golden light. It spread out like a ripple through water, touching the hulls of the human ships. No weapons fired, no damage done. Instead, their systems stabilized, power flows balanced, and engines burned cleaner inside those ships. Every human felt it, a warmth deep within, a strange peace they couldn't explain. Admiral Terran gasped, his eyes wide. What is this? Lyra's voice echoed through the channel. It's not a weapon. It's life. Her tone grew stronger. We are not enemies. Your world once carried the same light, the same hope. We only forgot, Elias whispered inside her. That's it, keep going, Lyra continued, her voice resonating like a song. The Solari flame isn't power to control. It's a promise, a reminder that every heart, human or alien, holds the spark to rebuild the stars. The fleet stayed silent. No one dared move. Admiral Terran's voice finally returned, softer now. If that's true, then what do you want from us? Lyra smiled faintly, tears glowing on her cheeks. Nothing. Only for you to remember who you are. Elias's voice joined hers, echoing through her and across the channel. Humans were never meant to conquer the stars, but to light them. And with that, the flame spread farther across distant systems. Derelict colonies began to glow again, lost worlds slowly coming back to life. The humans watched in silent awe, their scanners unable to describe what they were seeing. The Admiral whispered, It's beautiful, Lyra answered. It's just the beginning. As the fleet powered down its weapons, Lyra turned her gaze toward the stars. She could feel Elias inside her. Not a ghost, not a memory, but a living voice, a part of her soul, he said softly. You think they'll understand someday? She smiled gently. Someday they will when they stop looking at the stars with fear and start looking with wonder again. Outside, the darkness continued to fade, replaced by a dawn no one thought would ever come. Two civilizations, human and Solari, had become one light. Not through war, not through conquest, but through connection, through a spark shared between a human's heart and an alien soul. And as the galaxy shimmered with reborn stars, the legend of Elias and Lyra began. A story of flame, hope, and the dawn of two worlds.